All right. Freedom is a good thing or a bad thing?
Depends what you do with
In moderation.
In moderation? There's no such thing in moderation. Either you're free or you're not free. What do you think? Freedom is good? What do you think? It's good. Huh?
Yeah.
David, what do you think? And by the way, I'm not going to go one by one. Everybody thinks freedom is a bad thing.
Could be.
Could be. Why?
No boundaries.
Freedom with no boundaries. Okay. You just came back from where?
Everywhere.
From everywhere. You went to Utah. You went to. How was the drive from Sedona, whatever it is, to Utah?
Amazing.
Amazing. Why it was amazing? It was a big open space, no boundaries, right? So you felt free there, right? Coming back to New York, you not feel free. So how does it sit along with what you're saying to me? All right. So let's just go back a little bit. I'm going to tell you something. There is first of all, freedom is terrific. However, there is a scenario that freedom is actually dangerous, and let me show you how. So when Bnei Israel came at the beginning to Har Sinai, Moshe went to the mountain, and he gets a special message from Am Yisrael, and it's a very short message, and has less than 3 psukim in it, or actually something like that, and it says the following. And it's very, very specific. The picking of the words is really amazing. And it says the following: Ko tomar levet Yaakov, vataged lebet Israel. This is what you're going to say to Bet Yaakov. We already say women and so on and so forth. And this is what you're going to say to Bnei Israel, and etc., etc. And then he ends with the words, Ele hadevarim asher tedaber el Bnei Israel. This is exactly what are you going to do. Ele hadevarim, exactly. Don't change a word or nothing. And why is he going to tell them? What he's going to say there? He says, Atem reitim et asher asiti leMitzrayim. You saw what I've done to Egypt. Va'esa otchem al kanfei nesharim, va'ave etchem elai. And I carried you on eagle's wings, and I brought you to me. Ve'ata, and now. It's fantastic. Im shamoa tishmeu bekoli, if you would listen to my voice. Ushmartem et briti, and you guard my covenant. Vehitim li sgula michol ha'amim. And you're going to be dedicated to me from all the nation of the world. Why? Kili kol haaretz, because the whole land is mine. Ve'atem, and you, tiyu li mamlechet kohanim vegoy kadosh. And you're going to be a nation of priests and a holy nation. So you're going to tell me, okay, so what's the big deal? All right, thank you very much. We all know that, right? We grew up like this. Everybody knows that. So I mean, it's really this is what we know that God wants from us, that Am Yisrael will listen to His words and would fulfill the mitzvot of the Torah and so on and so forth. And by doing so, He's going to be separated from the rest of the nations. Am levadad yishkon, a nation to dwelling to itself. Try to tell this to the Israelis, that's going to be quite of a problem. However, there's a tremendous revolutionary idea in those psukim, a really new concept also altogether. Now, what those psukim carry is a new message that until this point was unrevealed to anyone. Nobody ever heard this, and it's the first time that Am Yisrael actually listens to God's plan for what we call that. Really, that plan really dictates in a way Jewish history. Jewish history. Where we are talking about from choosing Avraham Avinu until Yetziat Mitzrayim, the splitting of the Yaltzus, creating a whole entire nation, everything was dedicated, was directed for this point only, for Am Yisrael to receive the Torah and the Mitzvot, and by doing so, is going to be Am Sgula is going to be a unique nation among the nations of the world. Until this point, Am Yisrael were the children of Avraham, the children of Yitzchak and Yaakov, and so on and so forth. Those patriarchs in which HaKadosh Baruch Hu made the covenant with them, which is a personal covenant, and he promised them great nations, right? Goim rabim mimecha yitzeu, and so on and so forth. Great nations, got a lot of people. However, now HaKadosh Baruch Hu is informing the people that the children of our patriarchs, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, is really going to become a nation in which going to receive the Torah and the commandment of God. In other words, we are accepting upon ourselves the authority of God, and by doing so we're becoming special because of this special Torah that we have. By the way, the Torah, and I keep saying to you all the time, the Torah brought to this world, Am Yisrael, because of the Torah, brought to this world tremendous new ideas and new concept. If you're talking about the fact that a person he could become a master of his own, right? In other words, Sheshet Yamim Ta'avod, right? 6 days you're going to work, and on the seventh day, I don't care how nasty your boss is, even if you are a Jewish slave, nobody is working. That's the initiation. Shabbat is the initiation of the concept of freedom in the world. Until this point, everybody was a slave. There was no such thing as taking a day off, a break, or going to Aruba, or doing, taking vacation, midsummer. Every vacation that there is in the world, any nation, any person that takes a vacation in the world, it's only because of Shabbat. Until the point, people were property. And this property, you're going to work. You are my property. And the reason why we're able to do so is because we are God's property. So Shabbat by itself, the concept of freedom. Today the people celebrate freedom, there's freedom, that. It's only because of us. Because until that point there was no such thing as a nation seeking freedom and breaking free and forming itself into a nation. There's no such thing. In other words, therefore, Jews are the grandparents in every revolution that ever happened in the world. Any rebellion that happened in the world. Everything. It's because of the Jews. It was Judaism at that point, because of the Torah, because of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. In order for us to receive the Torah, we created a dent into human mind that such thing is possible. That I could be a master of my own destiny, that I could have a free choice. That the fact that, you're my boss, you also have a boss, and that's God, and therefore and so on and so forth. Everything. I mean, if we're talking about the judiciary system, almost everywhere, the fact that the person can give a witness, testimonies, and pursuing justice and social justice and social responsibility, only because of the Torah. Until the point, I don't care, you're weak, I'll go die, I don't really care. But the Torah tells you, no, Habibi, no, you have to be socially responsible. You have to take care of the ger, yatom, almanah, of the weak, and so on and so forth. And the people that are not protected by the law, the people who always fall between the cracks. We're going to penalize people who are rapists, can rape. We're going to put law and order. At that time, Isha Yashar Be'enav Yaseh, do whatever you want. There's no, who says you rape a person? No, the Torah says, Habib, you're going to pay. You're going to pay. You are going to pay. So Judaism made a revolution in the world, and regardless of what most people think, they say, only through the three monotheist religions, Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. No. Well, you want to tell me in Japan they don't take vacation? Or in China? Or even in Russia, for crying out loud. Right? They used to go down the Volga, going with, Volga, going like, everybody used to take vacation. Where is it coming from? It only came from us. Only came from us. So the Jews, it's unbelievable. And why? By making this cultural revolution, basically, into changing human minds, that's what makes us Am Sgula. That makes us a light for the nations. I mean, we open people's mind to that. which is quite in a surprising way. This tremendous chidush was never said to the parents to our grandparents, to our grandparents, to our patriarchs Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, throughout Sefer Bereshit. It was never mentioned, that God never mentioned to them that that's His plan to do so. And it's the first time in Jewish history it was said to Moshe Rabbeinu in Mitzrayim, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu is trying to persuade him to go to Paro, and he says, Lachen, therefore, Emor levnei Israel, say to the nation of Israel, Ani Hashem, I am God, v'hotzeti etchem mitachat sivlot Mitzrayim, and I took you out of the oppression of Egypt, v'itzalti etchem, I would save them from me'avodatam, v'ga'alti etchem bezron l'toyah b'shvatim gdolim, and I would redeem you with great miracles, and so on and so forth. V'lakachti etchem li le'am, v'ayiti lachem le'elohim, you'll be my nation, I'll be your God, v'yeda'atem, and you would know, I'm the one who's taking you out of Sivlot Mitzrayim. So far, so good. Then, והבאתי אתכם אל הארץ אשר נשאתי את ידי לתת אותה לאברהם, ליצחק, ליעקב, ונתתי אותה לכם, מורשה אני השם. Then I'm going to bring it to the land. That's where it started. That there's going to be a connection here. Until that point, there was no guarantee that we're going to have this relationship of I'm your God and you are my people. They made promises. But the promises could be fulfilled even without being God's, Avraham Avinu's, could not. However, when Moshe went with this revolutionary concept to Bnei Israel, they didn't listen to him. And by all means, they didn't understand what he was saying. Velo shamu el Moshe mikotz haruach u'me'avodah kasha. They didn't hear what he had to say. They were too busy working. They were too busy in their own ways. They weren't able to, as they say, come out of the boxes. I hate this expression, but they couldn't get it at the time. They weren't capable of getting this message, and therefore they couldn't digest this message. And that's why they kept on Moshe. Said, listen, do us a favor, just get out of here. Moshe and Aaron were able to take Am Yisrael from the Avdut in Mitzrayim, which is a miraculous thing. But Bnei Israel do not understand what is the purpose and what's God's purpose in taking them out. They say, okay, you want us to go, fine, it's horrible here. We're only going here because it's bad. They weren't aware because they couldn't understand what does it mean. They were enslaved. As far as for them, it's just going to freedom. And I'm going to tell you that brings a big question, of course, to what we're doing with ourselves in terms of, let's say, the state of Israel, and us in America here, and so on and so forth. And overall to this purpose of Vayitem li le'am sgula. You should be a nation to me. I mean, what is this thing? Now, a hint for this plan, you already see when Moshe Rabbeinu gives at the end of Shirat Hayam, after all these beautiful psukim that they say there, and so on and so forth. And he says to the people, Ad yavor amcha Hashem, ad yavor amzu kanita. Amzu kanita, this nation in which you had acquired. So we see that this is where it's actually coming there. The HaKadosh Baruch Hu inquiring to us that by coming out of Egypt, they became a nation. They weren't a nation at that point. There were a whole bunch of people, from a certain ethnicity. There's a big difference to becoming a nation. But even that did not make a big dent on them. And they did not see that as a Yetziat Mitzrayim and the splitting of the Yam Suf as the first stage in becoming a nation. They didn't see that. They just tribes and so on and so forth. And they just saw it as a person, as a way that they came out of slavery to a different type of life, but they were humiliated as slaves, and now we're not slaves anymore. But it doesn't mean that we have a purpose. And that is, by the way, also I want to point out, maybe you guys get angry with me, but who cares? On the way Yitro understands the things. Because Yitro, Choter Moshe, comes to the desert to hear about all the great miracles in which HaKadosh Baruch Hu did with Am Yisrael when they came out of Mitzrayim. And according to, if you look at the shot of most psukim, he got there before Matan Torah. The whole thing came before Matan Torah. Yitro came before Matan Torah. And it seems like the Torah is really interesting to give us the impression that he also left before Matan Torah. Most likely he left before Matan Torah. When when Yitro hears from Moshe Rabbeinu this whole concept, he says, "Vayachad Yitro et kol hatova asher asa Hashem leYisrael asher etzilu miyad Mitzrayim, vayomer Yitro," and Yitro says, "Baruch Hashem asher etzil etchem miyad Mitzrayim miyad Paro." You see, he saved you from Egypt, he saved you from Paro, asher etzil et ha'am mitachad yad Mitzrayim. He saved this nation from Egypt. Ata yadati, now I know, ki gadol Hashem mikol Elokim, ki badavar asher zadu aleim, and so on and so forth. Yitro does not understand the purpose, the true purpose of Yetziat Mitzrayim. And he sees Yetziat Mitzrayim as salvation only. He doesn't see beyond that. Of course, something like that by itself is tremendously miraculous. And he says, Baruch Hashem, thank God, or bless God who saved you, and so on and so forth. He recognizes his greatness, but he goes back to his place. It says, Vayelech el artzo, and he went back to his country. He went to say, oh guys, let me hear from first account. How was it over there, Well, why don't you tell us a story, like I ask you, Would you tell me a story? How was it over there in the desert, in Utah, in Sedona, in all the places that you guys went? How was it? It's interesting, right? Okay, we're done with the stories. Let's go back to what we're doing. That's what it is. He went to hear how it is, which is interesting, of course, because he says, and he brought the Shnei Banea, Tzipora, but to this for a different parsha altogether. But it refers to Moshe's children as Tzipora's children, different sugya altogether. However, you see that then it says Vayelech el artzo, and he went back to his land. He went to hear the first account of what happened, a wonderful thing, a little gossip, maybe some Midianite tabloids. But all right, that's good. There's no purpose thing. I'm going on voyage, bon voyage. I'm going back home. Au revoir. Ani olech. Adios. He's gone. He went back to his nation, and to teach you that even understanding the greatness of the miracles that HaKadosh Baruch Hu had done with you or with us would not last you a long time. It's the ooh and the ahs, wow, that's amazing. It's really split. But that doesn't change anything for you. I mean, we saw it ourselves. Am Yisrael, and I think the rebellion of Am Yisrael against HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because they really haven't internalized yet one thing and one thing only. And the Torah, of course, I'll get to it in a second. The Torah talks about, right after Yitro leaves, he says, then they talk about Matan Torah, and of course they hear about the real reason of coming of Mitzrayim. It is Atem ri'item asher asiti b'Mitzrayim ve'atem tiyu li mamlechet kohanim ve'goy kadosh. You came out of Mitzrayim for one purpose and one purpose only, to be my nation, a holy nation, light to the nations, a nation of priests. How are you going to do that? For that you need the chip. That's called the Torah. Now, and most of us want freedom. And look what happened in Israel. The establishment of the state of Israel was for the sake of freedom. We don't want to be oppressed anymore by the going. Terrifically, wonderful. But the question is, what in the world are we doing with it? Therefore, freedom without purpose sometimes could be detrimental, could be terrible. Because it's not the lack of freedom that would crush you as a person or as a nation. It's the lack of purpose. Not realizing what it is. Because when there is no purpose behind the freedom, you're going to oppress this freedom, you're going to be taking it away, you're going to distort it, and who knows what comes out of it. You're going to become a fascist. The only reason what came out of Mitzrayim is for that. And that's why in Israel and throughout Jewish history, we wanted to be Am Kechol HaGoyim, a nation like all the nations. In other words, we don't want to have a purpose. A purpose means you're dedicated. How many people, for example, could dedicate something to their lives a long time? How many people would be, argument's sake, be on that level of, let's say, true poets or artists or scientists? Scientists are really different people. And it's not because they know, all these things. It's because they're doing research and they'll stick to it even if they don't have a penny in their pocket. Or a poet. a real poet or a real artist. He does it, what's his name? Picasso, Van Gogh, all these guys, they didn't have a lot of money. Yeah, later on they made some money. Van Gogh became famous after he died. I mean, the poor guy had to cut his hair. Probably was hungry. I don't know, whatever. But they do so for the sake of painting, for the sake of what they're doing. Or people who are dedicated to martial arts. So for them, it's not to become rich and famous. It's the art that takes form. It's the purpose behind it. So therefore, all the sacrifice they would so-call, what you would call sacrifice, they would not call it sacrifice. They says, what do you mean? It's not even a question. We have to have a purpose in our lives. Then the freedom really becomes, the freedom is what allows you, creates the space that allows you to do so. But when you have space to no end, you'll develop an anxiety. You ever been in the middle of the ocean? How far did you ever swim? You guys swim at all? You swim. How far did you swim in the ocean in your life?
Wasn't that far.
Not that far. If you're not used to it, sometimes you can swim in the ocean. I in a pool. A pool is like not a problem. You just spin around like a rat. But you swim in the ocean, and it seems okay. You're all good. But then I remember as a kid, turning around and seeing the curvature of the earth. And you don't see the shore. You see the buildings behind you. You don't see the strip of the shore anymore. And then you go, and then you put your head in the water, and you look down because it's crystal clean, and you don't see the bottom. And then you go, oh my God, anxiety. Eric Fromm has a whole, you know Eric Fromm, right? You're taking psychology or what? You ask for a refund. Really? Yeah. Come on. You guys don't know who Eric Fromm is?
Not a psychologist?
He's a tremendous psychologist. I really like his works. He has what he called the syndrome of fear of freedom. Because there's no purpose. So therefore, all of a sudden, when you realize that there's no ground on the bottom, there is ground on the bottom, but it's like way down there, and you can't really see, all of a sudden you develop an anxiety. So these great open spaces that we are fantasizing on, if there is no purpose, you're not coming back. And that will scare you. And that's what happened to Am Yisrael. Am Yisrael suffered, to my very insignificant opinion, but if you ask me, the psychologist, I will tell you that Am Yisrael suffered a national anxiety. They had an anxiety disorder. Oh my goodness! All of a sudden, they had food, but they developed anxiety. What do you mean? We are going there, and there's no more. They suffer an anxiety on a national level. How do you deal with anxiety? Well, many ways. Xanax is one way to go with it. Different medication, Zoloft maybe for some, However, one way to deal with anxiety is to create a purpose. You're driven. You don't pay attention to those things. It will be the same thing if you would, let's say, for example, put a rope between two cliffs, right? Well, the guy who knows how to do so, he concentrates on putting one step over the other, and he's able to keep his balance. We are not concentrating on putting one foot after the other. We are concentrating on, oh my God, done that before. So when you feel this anxiety coming up to you, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? Oh my goodness, what? I'm not going to do anything. You're going to go back to basic. You're going to go back, what is my purpose here? If you feel there's no purpose in your life, so I'll tell you, Baruch Hashem is implanting in all of us. Never need to worry about, A, that you're going to be unemployed, because you're always employed, you're always working for God. B, don't ever think that there's no purpose to your life, because there is. This purpose in your life is greater than any purpose that you would come up in your life, and much better than that. It will occupy your whole entire being. And that is to become Goy Kadosh Mamlechet Kohanim. There's nothing to be afraid of. And you know that there is never going to be a time that you're going to be fired. Right? Because we know that there's only you can do your job, and I can do my job, and he can do his job. And when we're talking about Bal Tachmod, that's also your fellow friend's job. You should not desire his job, so I'll do whatever I can to fire him, or his congregates, or whatever it is. It's Bal Tachmod. And that's what happened. That's the whole purpose. So when people want freedom, you tell them, what for? Give me a good reason. What for? To be free? To be free is not good. You're not going to do it. You're going to collapse. And you'll see it. The more freedom you give people, eventually, the more corrupt they become. Look at our society. I mean, we keep on so-called taking more laws and making more free. And society, for whatever reason, does not become better society. There is more killing now than ever before. There's more rape now than ever before. There's more corruption and distortion. And we have all this freedom because there's one thing missing. Purpose. There's no purpose. To be free for the sake of being free, it's not good enough. You have to have purpose of being free. It has to serve a purpose. Otherwise, look around you, look what we got. Have a great day.